We are live. Oh my goodness. Happy Monday, everybody. First of all, I hope you had a wonderful weekend and we wanted to get right to it. We had a question come in and I was so excited because I love your interaction and love your feedback. So the question was, and I want to make sure that I get it right. So how often do you call a hesitant client without being annoying? And I want to break that down just a little bit here. So first of all, why are they hesitant? We need to kind of crack that open first. A lot of times if you're sensing some hesitancy with a client, a lot of times it's because maybe they aren't sure that you're hearing what they're saying or understanding what they're saying, and so they're hesitant to kind of move forward because they feel like you're just not getting it or getting what they want, which kind of, it creates distrust. And so a lot of times with the distrust, they don't want to move forward, they're a little hesitant. So communication is key in that. So your natural reaction when you feel their hesitancy, your natural reaction is to kind of back away like, oh, I don't want to bug them, but it should be kind of just the opposite, and not bothering them or checking in, but informing them, educating them, kind of making sure that you know their timeline, you know their situation, you know what they're looking for, and you've addressed those and you've said it over and over to them. So I think there's a perception out there that realtors only contact you like right when you're ready, and there's so many realtors that are, when you are ready to buy or when you are ready to sell, that's when they're there, and they're not really there in the other times. And so clients really aren't used to having agents there by their side before they're ready. So you kind of have to educate them as to why you're there, that you understand that they're not ready, and that's fine. And with the education portion of it, there's different things that you can educate and inform your buyers and your sellers depending on, which type of client they are, and maybe they're both. All the more reason to start that conversation at least 6 months in advance. I'm a huge fan of education and making sure that the clients fully understand what they're getting into and the next steps, and there's not going to be any surprises in the whole, I don't want to say transaction, but the whole process. So for my buyers, one, we want to get them pre-qualified ahead of time, not just right when they're ready to buy. And a lot of buyers say, well, I don't want my credit pulled, I don't want to affect my credit score. If they're not going to buy at least 3 months later, then that credit pull will have zero negative effect on their credit. But we need to pull the credit to get the idea of what their price point is. Because at that point, they're just guessing. They're just kind of saying, well, here's how much I make, here's my estimated debt. But until a lender really gets in there, pulls credit, see what's on the credit report, maybe there's some past due liens that they had no idea that are on their credit report that would affect their home buying pre-qualification amount. So we want to get that credit pulled. We want to get a good idea for that starting point, just so we know what price point we're looking at. So for the next 6 months, we can focus on whatever that number is instead of just blindly guessing. With also buyers, I like to walk through the process, especially first-time home buyers, what to expect, what type of market it is, what to expect with the offers that they're going to be putting in. Just let them know the environment out there. So right now we're in a pretty big a seller's market, and they need to understand that. I actually just had a past, someone from my past come back in my life, and she's saying, we decided that we want to buy a house, and she's sending me all these houses, and they were pre-qualified, which is great. But then the question that kind of made me stop and pull back was, if we put an offer in $15,000 under list, in my experience, how often does that get accepted? And that was when I pulled back and I was like, oh my goodness, I did a poor job of not educating my client on the market conditions. And so I had to take a step back and explain what kind of market we're in. And I always, whether it's buyer's market, seller's market, whatever, I always say we're going to pull the comps and we're going to see what the market value of that house is. Regardless of what type of market it is, I want to put an offer in at market value. So if it's listed above market value, even in a seller's market, that doesn't necessarily mean the buyer should pay that. So anyway, that all goes into the education process. And some buyers, I like to show houses a little bit before they're quote unquote ready, just so they can get an idea of what it looks like in pictures and what it looks like in real life. And I don't want to do this dozens of times before they're ready, but a handful of times to see different neighborhoods and just kind of get a feel for what's out there. And I also like to prevent burnout from my buyers, and that kind of goes into the education process too, because they're constantly looking, and then if you're constantly telling them, oh, there's multiple offers, oh, there's this, oh, there's that, they get discouraged and they feel like they don't want to buy a house anymore. And that's something you absolutely want to avoid. And that goes into the education, saying, okay, if we're asking the questions of what's going on with this house on a Sunday night, then the chances are that a lot of those houses are going to have had a contract accepted. But if we take a fresh look on Monday and we make some calls to the agents and we get a fresh look and a game plan together, then you have a better chance of success for this home buying journey. You don't want to just go out there, what about this, what about this, what about this, what about this, and then have bad news all the time. So we want to keep spirits up. And for my sellers, obviously it's a little less preparation for the sellers right now, but we want to do a pre-walkthrough. We want to get their home ready. We want to address the concerns that may or may not be there. We want to keep them updated on their home valuations and market conditions and any changes in any of those items. Really just keep updated of what's going on. So if you have a seller with a flexible timeline, then they're going to say, let me know when I need to sell or when I need to kind of pull back a little bit. So that's kind of my little journey on, how often to call a client without being annoying. I don't feel like you should ever follow up just for the sake of following up. I think you should follow up with purpose, and that was kind of the point of all of that. And we had one question, when to call, when to text, so, points there. So I always say, for calling, when you have an urgent problem, a solution, or you guys are brainstorming what to do, always a call or in person. And I like to call my active sellers at least once a week to update them on what's going on, regardless if it's just no news. And then text if it's a showing update, if it's a buyer where we're meeting for the location, we're going out seeing a couple homes, what house we're meeting at first, obviously, after the initial consultation that has already been done in person. Or if to just touch base on enough to sign, we need your signature here. But minor things, I think texts are fine. I think most people can appreciate that. But the calls are absolutely necessary, even if a client prefers text, because you can text the majority of things, but when you need to work something out or you need to explain something, a call is definitely better. So hope that helps. Hope you have a lovely week. And as always, if you have any questions or need anything from me, I'm always here to help at JPAR ELITE. Thanks. Have a good one.